we're going to go over decimals. We're just going to go over decimals, and we're going to add, subtract, multiply, and divide them. It's very, very simple. I'm going to not go into the technicality of it. I just want you to take a look at this problem. What's 25 times 2? 50. What's 2.5 times 2?
5.
What's 0.25 times 2? 0.5. Or 0.50 if you like. You can write it as at 5.0. Now, more difficult question. What's 25 times 0.2? I would say you don't need a calculator for this. Now, I heard someone say 4. Since I'm using the same digits for every single problem, I'm going to have the same digits for every single problem. The only difference is, where is that decimal point going? 2.5 times 0.2. I'm going to write the 0 because they all have zeros in it. This is going to be a little crazy. So looking at all these problems up here, every single problem is multiplying 25 times 2, and they're all going to have a 50 in it. The only difference is the decimal point is in a different place. Now the question is, how do you figure that out? Like for these, I'll start off with, let's look at these two right here. Like a nice idea, 25 times 2 is just 50, you know that. Now 2.5 times 2, think of this one, just think of it as 2 times 2. Just ignore the decimal point. What's 2 times 2?
4.
So if you were to look at this problem, you know your answer is going to have a 5 and a 0, because we know that 25 times 2 is 50. So using this as your estimate, your answer should be a 1-digit number. That's close to 4, right? So where would I put my decimal point to make it as close to 4 as possible? Is 50 closest to 4? Is half closest to 4? Is 5 closest to 4? Oh yeah, there you go. So that's a nice way of looking at it. Same thing with, well actually that's it. I just want you to look at what you're doing here, looking at this problem and look at this problem. Look at the problem itself. Look at, what's the issue? The issue isn't the 2 and 25 and the 2, is it? What is the issue you're having?
You're changing the decimals.
It's just the decimal place. The question is, how do I look at a problem and say, oh, I think I know where the decimal place is going to go? Because like a problem like this, it's intuitive. You could say, well, 2 times 2 is 4. This is, to make it close to 4, I'll put the point there. It's hard to do that with here. Like this example here, here's a decimal point. I have 2 decimal places after it. In my answer, how many decimal places do I have?
2.
In this problem, I have 1 decimal place. In this answer, I have 1 decimal place. In this problem, I have 2 decimal places. In my answer, I have 2 decimal places. In this problem, I have 1, 2, 3 decimal places. In my answer, I have 1, 2, 3 decimal places. In this problem, I have no decimal places. Well, I have a decimal point, but there's nothing after it. So in this answer, here's my decimal point, but I just have nothing after it. So the idea with multiplying decimals, just count the number of decimal places in your problem, the total number of decimal places. Here I just have one decimal place after the point. I have one decimal place in my answer. Now, do you need all those zeros? No, you don't need them all. Like for this one, you can just rewrite it as 5. This one you can rewrite it as 0.5. This you can rewrite as 5. This you can rewrite as 0.5. And this you can rewrite as 0.05. But if you're unsure how many decimal places to put, actually include the zeros in there. So if I had a number like this, 0.00015 divided by 0.005, I think it's going to be, this has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This has 3 decimal places. So I think my answer is going to have 2 decimal places in it. So I'm guessing, what's 15 divided by 5?
3.
And I'm guessing it's going to have 2 decimal places in it. What do I fill in that empty space with? A 0. I'm not sure, though. I'm always guessing on that, and maybe I should just be more confident. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually divide it out. 0.00015 divided by 0.005. Now, I look at that. That just seems kind of hard to do, doesn't it? It does. Well, some say no, but just looking at that, that's just like a lot of zeros, a lot of places. This is what you can do. I want you to take a look at this. We'll say, let's write it down as like this. 15 divided by 3 is how much? 5. What is 150 divided by 30? Oh, it's also 5. Wait a second. What is 1,500 divided by 300? Wait a moment. You have the exact same answer with 3 different problems. But if I look at these 3 different problems, don't they all have the same digits? 15 and 3, 15, or numbers 15 and 3, 15 and 3, 15 and 3? What's the difference between this problem and this problem? There's an extra 0. Here, there's 2 extra zeros. I don't want to divide this because I don't know the multiplication tables for the thousandths place. So what I'm going to do is this. I'm going to move this decimal point all the way to the end to make it a 5. I'm going to make that into a whole number because I know how to multiply by 5, don't I? Well, I do. I don't know if you do. But here's the thing. Just like here, if you look at these are moved the same number of places. So if I'm going to change this, I have to change this also in order to be consistent. So it's 1, 2, 3. So that becomes, I'll say 0.15. Now I just divide. There's my point right there. Can 5 go into 0? No. Can 5 go into 1? No. Could 5 go into 15? Yeah, 3 times. My answer is 0.03, and there you go. Ick. Well, let's just divide this out, because I always get confused. One, 2, 3, 4. So what do I do here? You move the decimal point all the way to the end. How many times did I move that decimal point?
5.
So what do I do with this decimal point? Move it how many times?
5.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But there are empty spaces there. What do I do with those empty spaces?
Add zeros.
Just fill them up with zeros. So the answer is 15, 0, 0, 0. Oh, how many times does 5 go into 15?
3.
And I have 3 extra zeros, so I add 3 extra zeros. If you are paying attention and you would like to see more videos, please watch this one right here. Otherwise, watch my last video right here. And please subscribe so that way you may get notifications for any new videos that might come up, mostly on a daily basis. Have a nice day, unless you're getting a demerit.